Welcome to the Caring Collaboratively podcast. My name is Dr. Summer McMurray. I'm a speech language pathologist and the founder of Carolina Pediatric Therapy. We are a multi-site, interprofessional collaborative practice of speech language pathologists, occupational therapists, physical therapists, behavioral health practitioners, including psychologists, licensed clinical social workers, licensed clinical mental health counselors, and licensed marriage and family therapists, and an amazing group of support professionals who've been serving children and families across our region since 2002. This podcast is for anyone who is team-oriented, is looking for a great place to work, is wondering how we create a positive, connected, and meaningful workplace experience for our colleagues and teammates, and would like to apply some of what we do to your own workplace. It's also for those who'd like to learn more about leading and working in a collaborative practice or a team of any setting, and for those who are interested in how you can participate in creating a work culture that you love, that brings joy to the workplace, builds resilience, and makes you excited about Mondays and every other day of the work week. So thank you for listening. Okay, I'm Summer McMurray, and I'm here today with the Speech Language Pathology Mentor Group at Carolina Pediatric Therapy. And this month we're talking about mentoring, so we thought it would be really fitting to talk to our actual group of people that do the mentoring on our team. So I thought I'd start with letting everybody introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Caroline Moore. I'm the director of the speech pathology team.
I'm Catherine Tintle. I'm a speech pathologist, and I work in Asheville and Brevard.
I'm Kelly Shea. I'm also a speech pathologist, and I work mostly in our Waynesville office.
I'm Ashley Hippins. I am a speech pathologist in our Charlotte clinic.
I'm Jen Mylan. I'm a speech pathologist in Hendersonville and in the Candler community.
I'm Myrna Reeser, and I work in the Hendersonville clinic.
I'm Roxanne Pope, and I also work in the Hendersonville clinic.
I'm Tess Gratton, and I'm also at our Hendersonville clinic.
Thank you guys so much for being a part of this and letting me in on your meeting today. So we want to delve a little bit into our mentoring program. And the first thing I wanted to ask you guys is, why did you feel that it was important to be a mentor?
I wanted to be able to give back. I started at Carolina Peds as a CF, and it took me many years to kind of get my feet and know what I was doing. And I really wanted an opportunity to give back and to help someone else in that same position.
Yeah, Jen, I had a similar experience. I actually did my CF in Louisiana, and I had an incredible CF mentor. And so then when I came here, when I have one of my first check-ins with Caroline, she said, what's one of your goals in the next year or 2 years? And I was like, I want to be a mentor. I want to oversee a CF. I want to oversee a student. Because I want to give somebody that same experience that I had.
I wanted to be a mentor in the private practice setting because most of my experience was in the schools. And what's great about the schools is that you have lots of therapists in your county or wherever you're working. And in the private practice, it can be scary because a lot of times you're out on your own in the community, and there is still a group of therapists that you work with, but it's not as close. And so I wanted to be that person, a go-to person for someone in the private practice that they can always count on asking any question, and they're in their corner for them. So that's why I wanted to be a mentor and why I love it.
I wanted to be a mentor in addition to what everyone else has said. I really found it as a good way to kind of keep my own skills sharp because, they're getting lots of questions about, I haven't seen that before. Why are you doing it that way? And it kind of forces you to think about, here's the theory behind it. Because, once you do kind of the same thing over and over again, every day, you kind of, it just gets to be more automatic. So it's really nice to kind of reflect on why we do things a certain way, how it helps our community and things like that. And I really found that part of mentoring to be really beneficial for my own practice.
Well, I think what a lot of other people have said, but it's just really nice to give back to the profession that has given so much to you, and just to sew into somebody else and see things grow and see someone that you've worked with maybe as a new therapist is now in a leadership position, working with other people. And I think that gives me a lot of joy.
Yeah, and for me, remembering my very first job, I remember the rehab director handed me off schedule, and he's like, okay, have at it. And I'm like, I have no idea what I'm doing. So coming to Carolina Peds, it was really nice to be able to have, Myrna was actually my mentor, so having her for support, and so I wanted to also be that for someone else as well.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, so what do you guys think it takes to be a great mentor? Like, what qualities does the person need to be a mentor?
I'll start with this one. So I think the qualities of a mentor is like one huge quality is someone that's able to develop a relationship with that mentee that allows for trust to happen. I think that is a huge component, and then a relationship that can work both professionally and personally, and that's a fine balance to find. But I think we all know that like all of these mentors are leaders and great therapists in their own rights. So that's like I don't even feel like I need to say that part because that's just a given. But
I don't even know if this is a real word, and if it's not, I'm just going to make it up for this. But the characteristic of individualism, being able to look at a person and know what they need, is going to be totally different than maybe the last mentee that you oversaw. So it's like, looking at each person and saying, you need more direct communication, or you just need me to step back a little bit and you come to me with the questions, and being able to kind of suss that out quickly. Because I think that makes or breaks a mentor relationship, is being able to give each person what they need.
Yeah, that's really good.
Yeah, being able to kind of look back, step back and think deeply about every part of the job and not give too much support where it's not needed, and just have that balance of, oh, they need help with their schedule, but their therapeutic rapport is awesome, and just being able to kind of assess every level, from organization, documentation, scheduling, therapeutics, communication, just kind of evaluating their performance and only providing just the right amount of support, and so that you let them be independent. You're not telling them what to do. You're kind of coaching them. So, and you need to be organized.
I think being a good listener, being empathetic, kind of understanding where they're coming from, putting yourself in their shoes and understanding, oh, this is their first job, not expecting perfection, the first time they see a client. It's mentoring is a lot of what makes us great therapists too. It's just kind of having that internal, empathy.
Yeah. Empathy is definitely an important quality.
I think it's important to be like a cheerleader, to be, you're doing great, make sure that, I think it can be overwhelming when you start something new. So it's really nice to have somebody who's supporting you to go, look at all the things you're doing great, and even if everybody needs help, that's okay. But you're doing great at this and this and this. And I think that's a quality of a mentor, is to, help be a cheerleader. Let them know all the great things they're doing.
Yeah, finding that magic ratio of like the 5 positives to the 1, critique and thing. That's the magic ratio is like keeps people encouraged along the way. Yeah, sounds like that. You're good at that, Myrna. I know that about you. Okay, well, so let's see. What is looking like what is a mentor? What does that look like for you guys on a regular basis when you're trying to connect with the person that you're mentoring? What does that look like?
Well, we've got a weekly mentor meeting that we all do with each of our mentees. So this looks like a 1 hour every week, or maybe 30 minutes once a week, depending on where they're at in their mentorship program. So the weekly check-in, and then I know for my mentee and I, we connect mostly through text. So if she's got a question, she'll text me or call me. And then if I've got a question for her, either on documentation or like, hey, I noticed this on your schedule, you feeling good about it? We mostly connect through text throughout the week. But we've got that one weekly standing meeting where her and I will meet over Zoom every single week.
It's also a lot of support of the documentation. Everybody's medical records programs are different, and even the therapists that are coming here that have a lot of experience, that our system is different than what they're used to. So we're looking over all the documentation and signing off and helping them to understand how our system works.
There are certain things that we have written that we want to hit on during the mentorship period, starting, at the beginning and then going to the very end. But it's loose because of the individualizing factor. Because, from one week to the next, we really we don't want to get too stuck on these things that we're supposed to hit on and not see what the mentee actually may need.
Right. Yeah. So there's that ongoing kind of dialogue and really kind of measuring and assessing what is needed. And then you kind of learn as you go together along that path.
Right.
Yeah.
We also incorporate kind of goal setting, and the mentee will come up with a goal with the mentor of what they need to work on focus, and then check in and reflect on it the next week, so that we're holding ourselves accountable.
Yeah. The accountability factor. What are some goals that say new clinicians have for themselves?
I think for the new therapists that are coming on, just getting their documentation, getting a goal to work towards getting the time it takes down. At first, it takes a longer time, and building your caseload. Maybe it's getting more comfortable, explaining our policies to the parents, practicing those scripts, maybe even doing a role play with the mentor of, how do you handle this situation?
Yeah. For those of you who have gone through the mentoring, what's been most helpful? This is kind of off script a little bit, but what's been most helpful to you as you've been in the mentoring situation where you were getting the advice from the mentor? Anything that stood out to you that's most helpful?
I think for me, it was just having a go-to person to answer my questions.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, I think, like 3.5 years ago that Jen was my mentor. And she was also my grad student. Wait, what was that? Grad student supervisor.
Yeah.
And so I already had a relationship with her, and then she was my CF mentor too. But I remember, I learned so much from Jen whenever I was her student, also her mentee, and even after that. But just, any question that I had, she was a great resource, whether it was documentation or questions about conversations I had to have with parents that were difficult, or, actual interventions that I wanted to use, really anything and everything. She was my go-to, and it was more helpful than I can even explain.
I would say the same as Tess. The number one most helpful thing is having a designated person to go to, because, nobody from my experience at this company would ever, make you feel like a burden if you had a question. But it's nice to not, when you don't know anybody, it's nice to not have to kind of go to, someone next to you or a stranger that you don't really know, and say, I have this question. It's so much easier when you have a designated person to say, like, oh, we'll do this during our mentoring time. Like, that way you don't feel like you're like wasting someone else's time, and like I said, nobody would ever make you feel that way. But, when you're new, you don't want to be that girl who has all the questions, so it's really helpful to have someone to go to for that.
Okay. So for those of you who've done mentoring, what have you observed has been the impact on the mentee, just from your perspective? Like, what have you observed? I know you guys have been mentored, or shared some of the impact. What have you guys noticed that maybe they didn't say as far as the positive impact on the mentee?
I've just noticed just a overall calming and stress relief when you speak with them and they meet with them. They're like, okay, this person's got my back. And, Carolina Peds spends I think a full week of orientation, which is great, but there's only so much your brain can hold on to. And so when you actually start to do it, they've been really relieved that we're there to answer any question. I remember how it felt when I first started, just being scared to even click something because you didn't know if you were going to make a mistake. So just being there to, set their mind at ease has been the big impact, that they feel like they have someone that they can go to, and not, like Ashley was saying.
I feel like I've observed folks who have come from not so positive work environments where they have been micromanaged and don't have a trust factor. I've observed like over the course of the months that are happening, people like relaxing into that and realizing, hey, yeah, these people really are here to have my back. They're not just saying that. And they are here to help me. And if I make a mistake, they're not going to punish me for that. They're going to help me through it and figure out what I can do next time.
I would say along those same lines is having a mentor-mentee relationship. It gives you permission to not have to know it all. Like none of us know it all. And so this relationship is like just opens the book to say, we know you don't know it all. We don't know it all, but we're here to help you. And if we don't know the answer, we'll help you find it. So I think when I first started working many years ago, I felt like I had to know it all. Like people hired me and expected me to know everything, and we don't. Nobody does. So that's what this relationship, I think, most importantly does is just gives you permission not to know it all, and to know that someone's there to support you, not judge you.
I think it's really important what you said, especially, in thinking about the values that we have here of continuous growth and learning, and even things like humility and being people smart and those kind of things that we really value here at Carolina Peds. And that, you don't have to know it all. And we try to tell people in the beginning, when they first start their job here, is like, this is a safe space for you to mess up. It's okay. Like, we know you're not going to get it 100% right. And it's okay, because you're going to learn from that mistake if you make a mistake. So, don't panic if you make one, and you've got mentors that can help you through it and help you figure out how to move forward next. So I'm glad you said that, Myrna. That is so true. That I think in professional fields, especially, there is that pressure to feel like you got it all together and that you know everything, and everybody looks to you for the answers. And so you feel like you do have to know everything. And so it is good to know that this support's in place for people, so that they don't have to have that pressure, and you can really relax into the role and be comfortable in the role and learn and know you're just learning and growing together in this. So that's really the culture that we're trying to create here at Carolina Peds is that it's great. We're all learning. We're all on the journey. We're all on the process together. And so it's nice to be a team in that, and know you've got teammates that have got your back there. So yeah. Okay. So the next question that I have is more about yourself. What's been most meaningful to you as a mentor? What's the positive impact that it's been for you? Because we know it's positive for the folks that are getting mentored, but how about yourself?
Say it's very fulfilling to be able to help lift up another person and to give back and to support someone else who we've all been there, either whether it be in being in a new job or being a CF. And it's just fulfilling. It makes me smile internally, and it's not always easy, but it is always fulfilling.
I think the positive impact is that, as being, I've been a therapist for many years also, and it makes you excited again about the profession, and to teach is to learn, like Ashley was saying, and just makes me excited and makes me love my job. And just to switch it up from, working with the clients to helping kind of educate another therapist. It's just, we are all educators, and it just makes you feel warm and fuzzy inside. And, my job is pretty cool, and my profession is also really awesome, really cool.
I think it makes me a better clinician and a better employee. So similar to like what Ashley was saying earlier, to explain everything what we do, you can't just walk the walk, you now have to talk the talk. So I think it really makes me reflect back on what am I doing as a Carolina Peds employee and a SLP, and really makes me reflect on I just advised someone else to do this, like now I have to put into practice. And a lot of times it's a lot easier said than done. But you got to do it. If you're going to explain it to somebody else, it's like, it's a constant reminder. Those weekly meetings, I feel like constant reminder of like, I need to be doing this too. Like it's one thing to say, it's another thing to do it. So I think it makes me a better clinician.
I think it also keeps you current. Those of us who have been around a long time, we've been doing things, we get to where we do the same things all the time the same way because it works, and it has worked. But then when you're mentee is, fresh out of school or come in with new and current ideas, then it keeps you current because you're like, wow, they're teaching it that way now, and that's interesting. And I've learned so many things by observing other therapists and seeing what they're doing and different different things that they're using, and it just helps to keep me current too.
So I have actually just learned a lot about myself being a mentor. I've never really thought of myself or seen myself in any sort of quote unquote leadership role. And so it just brought about different strengths that I didn't realize I had, different abilities. So it was it grew me personally as well. So
There are a lot of different ways to lead, right? Yeah, it doesn't always have to be a position of leadership to lead. That's one thing that we talk about here is like we are leaders serving future leaders who also serve each other, right? And it is so true, especially in the mentoring role, because you guys are all leaders and everybody's leading someone, right? Whether you're leading your families or whether you're leading students or another clinician or your peers, we're all leading somebody. So that's a really good point, Roxanne. Appreciate you sharing that. So what does success look like as a mentor? As you're going into it, or as you've been doing it, what does it mean to be successful as a mentor?
As someone who's a new mentor, my goal for the end of our mentor-mentee relationship is that my mentee is confident and feels like they have that support system, but they can also competently lead others, kind of like how this straight off has happened with me and Jen, where she was my mentor and now I'm a mentor, and I feel like that would make me feel really good. Like, Jen, you did a really good job, and now I feel confident to lead somebody else. So I want that for my mentee too.
Yeah, that is definitely success right there.
I was definitely going to mention that, like having somebody you mentored become a mentor is just like the best feeling, because it feels like I helped this person achieve that confidence and that level of ability, or knowing they have the ability internally to like mentor someone else. So yeah, that's definitely success.
Yeah, I was going to say when the confidence increases and the questions start decreasing, and I don't think the questions will ever go away. I still look to my mentor who I had 3 years ago, and I ask her questions all the time. So I don't think the questions will ever go away, but it has been really cool watching, my very first meeting with my CF, she was like, okay, I've got 6 questions. I've written them down over the past few days. And now it's like we go into our mentor meetings and I'm like, how you doing? Like, you got any questions? And she's like, actually, no, I don't have anything. And she's like, I feel really confident right now with like my schedule and I don't have any documentation questions. So it's really cool watching those questions decrease. And I love the questions. I don't think they'll ever go away because I know mine didn't. But it is cool seeing them decrease week after week.
Yeah. I think it's really interesting there, what you said, just about, even beyond the mentor relationship, after you're done with mentorship, that relationship is still there. And I think that is so important. I mean, I have mentors that mentored me 20 years ago. I'm still in connection with those people and they still help me through things professionally, even personally. Like we have those relationships. And so it's nice to, I think that's beyond even the 6 to 9 months that you have those relationships. I mean, it sounds like Jen, Myrna, you guys have been in mentor relationships a lot. And then people that are now you're bringing up in mentoring, you're going to have those relationships for a very long time. And that's really nice in this profession because we're always trying to grow and learn, and things change all the time. So it's nice to have people that you can call on there, and have those long-term relationships. So, okay. So how does this group support you guys in your role as a mentor? Roxanne, go.
I love this group of people because I always come and I tend to focus on the areas where I struggle, and they're just so encouraging and uplifting and provide really good feedback and suggestions to go and implement. And so I'm just very thankful, like just so supportive. Yeah, that's That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Wonderful.
Yeah, I love this group. It is a sounding board for all of the ideas, all the struggles, all the triumphs. I feel like every time we come in to this meeting, it's like someone's sharing something amazing that's happened. And like we're all just here to share the positives, share the negatives. It's a safe space. But it's a really good sounding board to get all of our ideas and get suggestions.
It's great that Carolina Peds offers the mentors a support system so that we can be consistent, because if you've worked at a job where you got a different question every person you ask, that can be stressful and frustrating. So we really work to get everything consistent. And then also, as things come up, one mentor might create some kind of resource and checklist for something that their mentee needed that we can also use, or something to keep us organized. And so it's a great collaborative approach.
I agree with that. And also it's a good way to kind of diversify your experience, because, you have one mentee, but like with this group, it's almost like everyone's your mentee. So you're learning from things that these other mentors are doing with their mentee that, may not be something that comes up with your mentee, or maybe it will be your next mentee that now you already have this skill because you've learned from the other mentors, like, oh, that happened with, Roxanne's mentee last time. And I remember the suggestions that she got when she was having, this question or whatever it may be. So I do feel like, in addition to all that you're learning from being a mentor to your own mentee, you learn so much about just how to be a mentor in general from this group.
Yeah, it's like your own little coaching mastermind group you guys have together, where you're all learning from each other and you're growing and you're getting to share vicariously experiences and really support each other along the journey. That's it. Thank you guys so much. And I really appreciate you all sharing all of this insight into the mentoring program here. And we'll continue the conversation.